Hello, everybody. Welcome back to this series of mindful physiology. To recap, so far we have reviewed the concept of homeostasis. Everything changes. Then we review the functions of the cell, which is create life. Life happens inside of the cell, and we have many of them in our bodies. Then we started system by system in our body, understanding how they work. And the first one was the structural system, our unique architecture, bones and muscles. And for that, the movement is vital. And last week, we reviewed the concept of the interstitium, which is this new found part of the body that it seems that it has a lot to do in all the connection between all the parts of our body and the harmony in all the parts of our body for our bodies to perform well. So this week we continue with the systems of the body, and this week we cover another fascinating topic that is the cardiovascular system. But before we start, or not better, so today, after our awareness practice, I want to mention some reflections when I was reviewing the material and reviewing all this information about the cardiovascular system. I came across with some reflections, so I want to share those ones right after we do our awareness practice on the heart. Then I will go through the main functions of the heart at very general level, as I have been covering, as I have been presenting in these episodes. And then finally, how we can take care of our cardiovascular system. So let's start with our awareness practice. This is an awareness practice for the heart. So wherever you are at the moment, as usual, sit comfortable with your back upright, center, and be sure that your feet are touching the floor to feel grounded and stable. If you decide to cross your legs, do it in a way that it feels comfortable and you can stay there for the entire exercise or practice, so you don't get distracted by the pain or the lack of comfort of the position. And try to apply this all the times that you do awareness practices, always from a place of feeling comfort, so you can concentrate in what is happening here instead of what is happening in the pains in the rest of the body. So in that position, I invite you to close your eyes and start by taking some few deep breaths in and slow exhale. Breathe coming out. Inhale. Exhale slowly. Inhale deep. Exhale slowly. Feel at this moment that the tiredness is behind. The thoughts that you have before watching this awareness practice are behind, and you are just arriving to this moment where you will be able to connect with your heart. Bring your attention to the area above the upper lip and below the nostril. And with your normal breathing, just sense and feel your breath, how it is. Experience that sensation of the air passing by that area of your face and going inside your nostrils. Do not force your breath, just follow it. Observe how the air is coming in through your nostrils. Go to the back of your neck. Travel down inside your lungs. And then find the way back through the nostrils and out. If your attention goes, bring it back to this moment and to that place in your face. Enjoy the feeling of the air. From there, in that quietness, check if you can feel your heart pumping, beating. You can maybe sense your heart in the place where it is located, at the left side of your body. Or maybe you experience the existence of the heart when you notice how the blood flows through your body. Maybe you perceive the blood flow in any particular part of the body. Connect with that function at this time. Connect with that sensation. Now imagine that the blood that is coming from everywhere in the body, that has received carbon dioxide and waste from everywhere in your body is traveling back to your heart. All your blood is coming from your feet up, travel to your legs, cross your inner organs, the abdomen, and reach the heart. From the liver, the blood is traveling to your heart. From your brain, from your arms, the blood is going to your heart. The blood enters your heart from your right side, from the right side of the heart. It reaches there, and every time that you have a beat in the heart, there is a contraction. And the purpose of this contraction is to move the blood, which carries waste and toxins like carbon dioxide. The function of the heart is moving those toxins, sending this blood outside of the heart, sending the blood to the lungs. And in the lungs, in a very sophisticated way, the lungs remove the carbon dioxide and injects new, fresh, pure oxygen. The carbon dioxide that is leaving your body goes through your nostrils and is a gas like air. It leaves your nostrils and go and reach the plants, the crops. So the plants are able to have a photosynthesis, a process. The plants, the trees, all the plants and trees in the world, they receive the carbon dioxide that we generate as humans. They take that, transform that with water into pure oxygen. And that is the oxygen that returns back to us. Enter the nostrils, reach the lungs, and in the lungs, the blood is purified, is oxygenated. Then the blood continues its journey and enters again the heart, but this time enters the heart by the left side of your body. From there, this pure oxygenated blood, full of nutrients, with another beat of your heart, with another contraction, is pumped everywhere back in the body to send new oxygen and to send nutrients to all your body. This process, which is a cycle that moves the blood from your legs up to your thoracic body and reach the heart, and also the blood that is traveling from the head through your arms, through your heart, then is clean, purified in the lungs and return back to the rest of the body. That cycle is happening many times during the day, all the time, and we don't even perceive that is happening. We don't perceive all the processes involved. we also don't realize that the carbon dioxide that we expel feed the plants, and the plants generate the oxygen and the food to come back to us. So the cycle happens not only inside of us, it happens also with the environment that surrounds us. Stay for a moment with this cycle of your blood and feel how your blood circulates from right to left, right to left, right to left in a circular motion, removing toxins and introducing new oxygen in your body. Notice which kind of sensations or thoughts or feelings this movement of your blood makes you feel. What is happening in your mind at this point? Maybe you are feeling again your heart beating. Maybe you are feeling the blood pressure somewhere in your body. Whatever it is, connect with that. Find peace just from this experience. And maybe also from the birds behind. Now return your attention back to the area above the nostril, above the upper lip and below the nostril. Feeling the air flowing through that area. Give a smile to your heart and know that you can connect with her anytime as long as you are alive. You can always find these moments during the day, during the week, to connect with your heart. When you are ready, open your eyes. Thank you for being with this practice to feel the heart. And this is actually one of the first things I want to present today, and are these reflections that I had when I reviewed information about the cardiovascular system. And the first reflection is related with this saying that we listen often, that it says, listen to your heart. I really believe in the power of listening our hearts, which for me is very related with decision making, is where it's more useful for me. But I must admit that in many occasions, or many times, that listening to my heart have had some mystical connotations, which they have a beautiful place in my life. But I noticed that I was not able to tap into that mystical, mysterious side of me to be able to listen my heart. So that created a lot of anxiety. But when I discovered and I started practicing these awareness exercises, where I can tune in what is the reality in this moment and with what is inside of my body, then I discovered that I could listen the heart beating, and that was listening to my heart. So that became with time like a tool that if I was not receiving the answer about a decision that I had to make, at least the practice helped me to slow down and to have the patience to wait until I had more information, or I could connect with myself at a deeper level to be able to make decisions, any decisions. And in my case, this listening to my heart has been connected with decision making at all levels, for job search, for relationships, for friends, from new paths that I had to take in life. All of those things in life, everything that involves decision making, I was tapping always to this tool of listening to my heart. But now I know that there is a way that can be accessed at any point as long as I am alive, because the heart is always beating. So I wanted to share that tool with you, because when I discovered that I could listen to my heart, literally, too many things made sense and came in place and easier for me. The second reflection I want to mention here is about the balance in life. I think I have spent a lot of time in my life looking for techniques, practices, therapies to balance my life. And I discovered after many years of trying different techniques that the reason I continue looking for more, it was because I had the expectation that having a balanced life was having a flat life. And with practices like awareness exercises, mindfulness, and many other practices that help us to tune in with what is happening inside of me and nothing else, I was able to understand that ups and downs and joy and sadness are part of life, and that maybe having a balanced life is to be in a kind of range that help me to be stable. That balance covers like a range of possibilities and levels that I can manage. But also, and more important, maybe having a balanced life is having a toolkit ready of tools and techniques to use when the situations really goes very out of balance, and I reach stages of highly anxiety, or maybe very low moods that I see that maybe is becoming a depression, or maybe apathy or withdrawal from friends and people. All of these are signals for me that something is not going well in life. And then living the expectation that I had to have everything perfect and everything working all the time, then it was finding tools to be able to manage those times or those hard times better. And here the heart teaches something very beautiful as, as well. And for this, I want you to remember the last time you went into a hospital, maybe because you were visiting a family member or a friend, or maybe you yourself had a surgery or something. And remember that situation, and especially if you were in that hospital and you saw beside the bed of the patient this cardiogram device. That cardiogram device, what we expect when we visit a family member, or if it's our own cardiogram measure of our heart rhythm, we expect them. How do we expect to see the image in the device there? We expect to see something like this. This is what we expect to see. Because if we expect to see something like this, if it's like this, we know that this is synonym of death. So the heart, just by the way it works and it functions, creating this rhythm, that it doesn't go upper to one limit and below another limit, but stay in a range but doing this. This is a balanced state, and this is the normal state of the heart. So every time that we feel that our life is out of balance, we can recall, we feel that our life is out of balance because we are crossing maybe a tough moment or a bad situation, or even we are overexcited because something magical happened in our lives, but in a way that is really making us feel not too healthy. We can remember that the cardiogram shows us that this is the way the heart and us should work, not flat. The third kind of reflection before entering into the functions, how the cardiovascular system works, is coming more from the teachings of the traditional Chinese medicine. For traditional Chinese medicine, the heart is the house of the spirit, and it radiates and shines that spirit through the eyes and through our face. So understanding this, for me, is another way how we can connect again to our heart and listen to our heart. So another nice, easy, pragmatic practice is standing up in front of a mirror, looking our face, looking through our eyes, and speak to her, to our heart. And maybe if we do this routine early in the morning, we can ask her to guide us during the day in the decisions that we have to make, or guide us in the actions that we are taking, in the way we perform our actions that we do during that day. So these three reflections are things that came to my mind when I started reviewing how the heart works, and I find them very useful as practices that we can use in daily life. I talk about the heart before as hair, and this is because in traditional Chinese medicine there is this concept of the yin and yang. The yin and yang theory says that everything in the world, everything of each of us, and everything inside of us has two sides, the yin and the yang, two opposites, that the day cannot exist without the night, and so on. Yin shows this place represents more the feminine aspects of nature and the world, and yang represents more the masculine aspects. So for Chinese medicine, the heart is yin, is more yin. So it has more characteristics of feminine energy. So this is another guide that each time we speak with the heart, we speak about hair and with hair. And the last bit maybe that I want to talk about the Chinese medicine is that they associate the different organs of the body with the elements in nature. And the heart for traditional Chinese medicine is associated with fire. So there is something always igniting there, shining, burning, that is creating life. At the time when these philosophies of traditional Chinese medicine were developed, that were thousands of years ago, they were some systems on how the society functioned, and they were a lot of kings, very different from what they are today. But back at the time, the role of a king, it was different of the role of the ones who design the laws and the rest of the roles of the society. The main role of the king was to take care of the population and do and work for the welfare of everyone in the community. That was the role of the king or the emperor back on when the dynasties and empires exist in all China. And the heart, when they started making a metaphor of how the society was organized with the functions of our body, and trying to say, okay, who is the accountant, who is the one who design and write the laws and so on, the place that the role that they assigned to the heart was the king, was the emperor, is the one that surveils that everyone, everything is working well, is healthy, and is happy. So this is from traditional Chinese medicine, and that is why maybe it's good to summarize that maybe we can consider from this point of view connecting not only with the physical part of the heart in our bodies, but maybe with this limitless spirit that is there, and we still are not able to recognize, or sometimes we are not able to recognize and touch very well inside of us. But since back on the times, this part of our body holds wisdom and is the ruler of all the body above the mind. And that I will talk a little bit about at the end of the video. So now we can move to the functions, the general, how it works in general, the cardiovascular system. I remember like 2-3 years ago when I started studying, when I did my studies in anatomy again, after years of being in the school, and I paid carefully conscious attention in how the circulatory system works. I was shocked because I didn't know the path of the blood and actually the purpose of the heart in our body, just from a physiological point of view. So the cardiovascular system, let's say, that has in general, from at least from the Western point of view, has the heart, which is a muscle, has the blood vessels, and the blood vessels are the arteries, the veins, and even valves that control the flow of the blood. And the third element is the blood. So these are like the three components of the circulatory system. And the function, the basic function, is to pump, or the function of the heart is pumping blood or sending with pressure, sending blood everywhere in the body. This is the main function. And the veins, the blood vessels, the arteries have the purpose of allowing the blood to circulate in the body. So the heart sends pumps, and then the veins and everything distribute the blood until everywhere, until the last part of my hair, everywhere in the body, not in the hair, but everywhere else, for the cells to perform well. And here, this is something that we review during the meditation. But I did a drawing in my way. I'm not a very good drawer, but it's just to see and notice the cycle that this system does for us. So, if this is our heart, what it does exactly is receiving all the blood without oxygen, poor in oxygen, and with waste from our legs, from the kidneys, reproductive system, from the last toe, the little toe in the feet. It receives the blood from everywhere, and then from the upper part of the body, also from the brain, from the fingers, everywhere. It receives the blood, and the blood enters to one side of the heart, to the right side of the heart. There is pumped, an electric signal creates the contraction, and the blood moves to this second step, which is a ventricle. And I'm not going to mention names here just for the sake of leaving this simple. So the blood moves here to the lower part of the right side of the heart. And from here, the blood is sent to the lungs, which are here. So the blood travels to this part, and the lungs oxygenate that blood. And when it's full of oxygen and the carbon dioxide is removed in this part of the body, then the lungs send back the blood to the left side of the body and pump that to this other part, which is very strong part. In this part of our heart, it has a very thick layer because it has to pump very strong to be able to distribute the blood everywhere in the body. And it distributes the blood everywhere in the body, and it's a blood that has oxygen and nutrients. So when it leaves the heart, then that blood with oxygen and nutrients travels through arteries, which are very thick pipelines. Imagine that they are very thick pipelines where the blood leaves the heart, and then they start reducing in size, these thick pipelines, becoming arterioles, then becoming capillaries, and then capillary beds. And the capillary beds enter the tissues everywhere in the body. Let's say in a finger, it finds the tissue, goes and spreads in the tissue, And then with electric signals, with hormonal signals, that capillary bed knows when to pump the nutrients to the interstitium, which is the part we saw last week, and from the interstitium is pumped to the cell. The nutrients are pumped to the cell. So this is the way how the nutrients travel and circulates around the body, and how the body is able to remove the waste, move it out, and then bringing new pure oxygen in our body. One particular thing about the physiology is that in the first chamber, this one we have here, the one that receives the blood that is without oxygen or poor in oxygen, it has some special cells that they work like a natural pace marker. And that is one of the reasons why the heart can continue beating and working even if there is a damage in the brain or in the nervous system. So here we start seeing that the heart has the capacity, or has to some point some autonomy from the brain and the nervous system, due to some specific cells that they work separately from the rest. So this is how the system works in general. So that is how the blood flows in our body. And with this, my invitation is that every time we want to connect with our heart, let's remember that there is this cycle movement from right to left, and left, rest of the body, then rest of the body, right part of my heart, go to the lungs, go to the left side, and then distribute everywhere in the body. Understanding this process really helps us to appreciate more that this process that happens in seconds, or this cycle, and happens all the time, it really helps us to appreciate more and connect better with our heart. The other fact is that the heart starts pumping since very early days of our fetal development in our mother's womb. Is this organ who starts very early on, and is the organ who will keep pumping and working and making us feel alive until the day we die. Is the last thing that stops working. So this is as well something very profound about this organ. It's the first one to be developed, and it's the last one to stop working. Okay, so I just want to finish with some aspects of neuroscience and a very general level, and this is more related with the fact that we only until 30 years ago, or maybe recently, we thought, as in many other parts of the body, we thought that the brain controls and sends the orders everywhere to work. Remember when we saw the muscles, that we understand that for a muscle to contract and to move, it receives a signal from the brain, and then the muscle sends back a message to the cerebellum, and the cerebellum say, hey, move in this way, to be able to move in a coordinated way. So from this we know that the muscle almost receives orders from the brain. And this is more or less the situation in many other functions and parts of our body, but not with the heart. So what neuroscience is finding is that first of all, the heart, this found many years ago, that the heart has kind of neurons, and they are more or less like 40,000 neurons in our heart. And they together work in a kind of isolated and autonomous way, to the point that they perceive information that they receive from other means information involving feelings, emotions, thoughts. It processes that and send the information to the brain. And here is the wonderful thing. The brain understands what the heart is telling him, but also obeys. In this case of the heart, the brain is not sending the order to the heart. It's the heart who is sending the message to the brain and telling what to experience or what to do for the rest of the body. So it says now from neuroscience that we have a brain in the heart due to the fact of the existence of this amount of neurons that we have there and the autonomous way how it works. But also, the other interesting fact is that the heart generates an electromagnetic field that is 500 times stronger than the electromagnetic field that the brain generates. And it's an electromagnetic field that can be sensed from far away, and that other people can sense as well. From the Eastern philosophies, they knew this just since many years ago. They had this wisdom about the heart host more, it was more than a pump, and hosted something higher and had some intelligence there. And that is why in the Eastern traditions, all the practices follow or are more focused in opening our hearts as a way to keep this king, this emperor, ready, stable, peaceful, to be able to make the right decisions. So practices like meditation and breathing, they really tap into our heart and connection with heart, so we are able to open and see more from there. So the last bit maybe is so how we can keep healthy the heart. If we look from a pure physical perspective and from the Western side perspective, we know that the heart has, the system has the heart and the veins and the blood. So if there is any dysfunction in the way the heart is working, there are always some herbs and food that can tonify these muscles in the heart, so it's able to receive the electrical signs better and at the right time to be able to work properly and rhythmically. So those are like ways to tonify the heart. But also, then we have the veins and the arteries, and many problems come from that, many problems like blood pressure. So there are some ways to work on how to make the arteries, which are like pipelines, the arteries and the veins, which are pipelines that transport inside blood, how to make them stronger and how to make them flexible and with the ability to stretch, that when there is a lot of blood crossing, they can do this and they move back again to the position. If they are not, they don't have the capacity to stretch, then if they stay rigid, when you have a lot of blood passing, so there is a lot of pressure in them, and that generates a big heart in the heart because the heart has to work more. So this is the other way of seeing how to work with the problems like blood pressure at very first aid level, let's say. And the other one is the quality of the blood. How to improve the quality of the blood with food, with rest, and mainly with that, food and rest. I remember a couple of years ago I had a very big condition, health condition, and it was related something in my blood. So I went to do some blood tests, and the color of my blood was black. So when I asked why, the main reason why blood is almost black in color is because it's lacking oxygen. So the quality of that blood, it was not good. And then it can have actions in the tissues and the cells, but also in the way the heart and the arteries work. But beyond the physical, as I said before, from an Eastern point of view, they see the heart as this emperor whose main objective is to be happy. So the main treatment or prescription for someone who is struggling with heart problems from their point of view is to have practices to keep a peaceful heart, and also more challenging practices that lead us to feel more unconditional love. To finish up today, I have here a poem that I want to share, and it's a poem from Rini Chibu, and it's just appropriate from the topic that we are talking today. It says, I'm confused, really confused. My mind says to fight for truth, and heart says to live in harmony. The mind sets boundaries and limitations. Heart says love unconditionally. Should I listen to my heart or my mind? Where do the emotions come from? If it is from my mind, then why do my heart ache and rejoice in love? Is it not the first electromagnetic wave started from the heart? Is it not my heartbeat first in mother's womb? Is it not my heart acted as mine when there was no brain? That is the reason my mind follows my heart sometimes. Okay, I hope you enjoyed the video, and maybe the invite is to practice to connect with your heart through your eyes or just listening to your heart beating. Thank you very much, and see you next week.